My grandma asked me a question that changed my life. She asked me, "What do you have to show for the 7 years you spent in America?" And honestly, I didn't have an answer. For years, I chased one dream, but somewhere along the way, I realized I was becoming someone I didn't want to be. So I decided to change.
This is the story of how I started becoming the man I want to be. A few months ago, I found myself asking a question that I couldn't ignore anymore. What kind of man am I becoming? Growing up, I had big dreams. I wanted to be a professional soccer player. I loved dancing and I loved mathematics. And because of my love for mathematics, I wanted to be either an architect or a civil engineer. But somewhere along the way, life didn't go exactly how I planned. This is the story of how I got here and who I'm trying to become. Growing up in Liberia, soccer or football was everything to me. I genuinely thought I could become a professional soccer player one day. And at the same time, I loved math. I was always good with numbers. I remember asking my grandpa one day, what should I study in college? And he asked me, what do I enjoy the most in school? And I told him mathematics. And he said I should do something related to it. So we had a couple of discussions and we settled for civil engineering. It was at that point I thought I had everything figured out. When I got to college in Austin, Texas, I realized that the school didn't offer a major in civil engineering, and the closest they had was mathematics. So I chose mathematics. And looking back, I think it was at that turning point God started writing a different script for me, and I didn't even notice it. While in college, I found myself tutoring, teaching, working different jobs, just trying to figure out what life is gonna be like after college. I graduated with a Bachelor of Science in Mathematics. But after graduation, I found myself drifting away from the plans I originally had, which was to become a civil engineer. But through all of this, I still had one dream at the back of my head, and that was to become a professional soccer player. When I graduated, I made a promise to myself. I would pursue soccer for 2 years and take it very seriously. If it worked, then it was God playing for me. If it doesn't work, I would just go back to school and get my master's and figure out another way to continue my life. I spoke to agents, I explored options, I kept trying. It just wasn't working for me. In 2025, my grandfather passed away. My entire family flew back home to Liberia to bury him. And while I was there, my grandmother, she pulled me aside and asked me a question. She asked, how long have you been in the United States? I told her about 7 years now. And then she continued and said, what do you have to show for the 7 years that you've been in the United States? And I just kept quiet because I didn't have an answer for that question. And it stayed with me since. And she was right, because I have spent the last years in the United States growing, exploring, experiencing life, and I wasn't thinking about the bigger picture. Around that same time, my uncle had a similar conversation with me. He said, people in our family look up to me, and if I settle for mediocrity, others are gonna think that mediocrity is okay. And that conversation hit me really hard. When I got back to the United States, I decided things had to change. I applied for graduate school. I got accepted. I started taking my growth more seriously, not just physically, but mentally, spiritually, and financially. I stopped waiting for motivation and started building discipline. Since then, I've been working on becoming the man I want to be. I've been consistent in the gym. I've been reading more, growing my financial literacy, strengthening my relationship with God, sharing my faith more openly. Not because I have figured everything out, but because I want to grow. My goal isn't perfection. My goal is progress. I want to be a role model, a God-fearing man, a man that my future children can look up to, and a man that my family can be proud of. I still compare myself to others sometimes, but I'm learning to compare for improvement, not for condemnation. Everyone has their own journey. Everyone has their own timeline, and this is mine. I'm still building, I'm still becoming, and I'm still growing. This is the process. And if you're on a similar journey, I hope you stick around.